with Solid Dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper and Heavy D and Up in the Limousine. Hanging
Oh,
pictures on my wall. Every Saturday, Rap Attack, Mr. Magic, Molly
Molly
Molly.
Mall.
Oh,
Oh,
Jay, we
okay, Jay.
back. We
Brother,
back. Had to
what's
hit him
up?
with a random juicy intro to this episode. This episode of Hidden Takes, man. I don't even know what number on. Doesn't even matter.
It
I feel
doesn't
like
even
we're
matter
on
at this
11 or
point.
12. Yeah. At this point, the season's rolling, Jay. We back at it with another one. We had our trade talk episode, our NBA deadline episode, the recent release. Then we tied our quick recap of the Lakers Warrior games. Back with another episode of Hidden Takes.
So we just
But
been on a roll, huh, Jay? We just
been
been
on a roll,
rolling,
Jay.
huh, Jay?
And
Just
just
dropping content.
before we start this up, as usual, viewer discretion is advised. Can't handle the heat, man. Just stay out the kitchen,
man. Yes,
But
sir,
brother
Jay.
Jay, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Jay. I'm doing good. Happy to see you. Blessed to be alive another day. You can't complain, man. Ready to talk some
Yes,
hoop.
sir. All right, yeah. Let's with that being said, let's just get right into it on this Tuesday, February 15th, 2022, man. Let's get it right into it as usual with our news, man. And the biggest news of them all, man, and this is wild. Ben Simmons today, as we're speaking earlier this morning, was introduced in Brooklyn and is quote ramping up for return, man. So he says his right now, he says Ben Simmons, he's ready for his new start and everything. He said, I'm looking forward to getting back on the floor, building something great here. And Simmons said, so Simmons, I'm going to read this straight off. Simmons said there's no date for his return to action, but he said he is, quote, definitely starting to ramp it up in terms of closing in on a return. And Simmons also said his old team, the Philadelphia 76ers, will host a game against the Nets on March 10th, 7:30 Eastern time on TNT. And he told reporters Tuesday he is hoping he can play in that game. Jay, what's up? How you feeling about this news, man?
Snap! I mean,
Ben 10, they're calling him. Ben 10,
they're calling him. They're calling him Ben 10, Jay. Yeah, I mean, so honestly, I feel so. Let me start from the beginning. Honestly, one thing that I know I saw on Twitter that I was like, man, it's actually so true. Like he used mental health as a way to get out of Philadelphia, and now he's like, he's good now. He's not tripping. He hasn't said nothing about mental health. So I just think that's funny. But I mean, honestly, I would love to see a Ben Simmons comeback, man. I think that honestly that makes that Nets team extremely scary because now they have almost all areas of the court and of the necessary like filled out, and like they got the defense, perimeter defense. I guess that they got at the rim protection. Andre Drummond isn't the greatest rim protector, but he's also not the worst. I mean, we know what KD can do it on both ends. We got Kyrie for the games that he's there for, and then like you put a player like Ben Simmons on there to point guard or to perimeter defender, and he can even guard a couple of bigs. So I mean, as far as just adding Ben Simmons to the mix, I think that's great. I think Nets fans all over the world are going to love it. Basketball lovers are going to love it. But I mean, honestly, I just think it's crazy, dog. Like he just played the whole world, dog. He just played the whole world. But if he does play in that Philadelphia 76ers game, I am going to be peeled in, tuned in, eyes and ears peeled open, man, because that's going to be crazy. I hope it's in Philly, honestly. I don't know. Do you know where it is, Jay? If it's in Philly or Brooklyn?
It says, it's in Philly. It's in Philly.
Man, I'm going to love that.
Ben Simmons, yep.
The fans are going to eat him alive if he plays. Oh, man.
That'd be
that'll be crazy.
And Jay, talking about what you had said about the players, or about his mental health and all that and stuff. So Simmons said in this press conference, he said it wasn't a personal thing towards any player or coach. It was just me getting to where I needed to be. I'm looking forward to what's to come. And then he also went on to say, it got to a place where it wasn't good for me mentally. So I think it was maybe a buildup of all of those things about the players and the coaches, whether he said it or not. And the situation kind of got to him in his head mentally to where the point where he wasn't ready to play. So, I mean, I kind of agree that maybe it wasn't the mental health when we think of, harming himself and all that, but it was just kind of basketball was just tough for him in that sense. And I mean, I understand it in a way, but I think, you know, it's just a crazy situation, the level of entitlement players have in
Man.
today's game and kind of everything wrong with the game. And I hope it wasn't really just basketball related and it was actually something to do with his mental health in terms of, he wasn't all right and not basketball related. Because if he did, man, I don't know. I can't really rock with that.
Man,
But
I'm
mental
right
health
there.
is true. Like I'm
No,
totally
I'm right there with you.
not against that, but I'm saying if it's due to basketball, then that's wrong, man.
Yeah,
He should have been out there playing or not.
yeah, I'm right there with you, Jay. Yeah, if it's mental health, that's real. Definitely, take care
Yeah.
of that. But and I mean, and I just think it's fishy how it was a mental health issue back when he was in the Sixers. Now he's in the Brooklyn Nets. He's sitting at the end of the bench, joking with Andre Drummond and all that. But I mean, I just hope he's good. I just want to see him out there, man. Let's get Ben Simmons out there, 2022.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And let's push forward. I'm going to talk a little bit about Harden because, I mean, obviously there's both sides, two sides to every story. So we got to talk about them. But let's talk about one thing, some good news, some positive news. Not the same Ben Simmons to Brooklyn wasn't, but that's Cavaliers. Jared Allen named as the injury replacement for the 2022 All-Star game. Obviously, we found out James Harden yesterday announced that he would not be able to play in the game due to his hamstring would be sitting out to it. So the 23-year-old center will be making his first All-Star appearance, Jay. I think that's big news. I think that's great news for the Cavs. Jared Allen, very deserving, arguably maybe even more deserving than his teammate Darius Garland, but we won't get into that because I think they're both very deserving in their own right. And I think Darius Garland is absolutely deserving in his own right as well. So, Jay, how you feeling about this? Jared Allen, I'm the Cavs guy in the bottom.
I'm happy
on the lows.
on the lows. See, I'm happy. I'm really happy for two reasons. One, because the Cavs got two guys in there. I mean, again, I've said this so many times on these pods, but like I had the Cavs in 14th place at the beginning of the season, right? Like before the season started. Now they got two guys in the All-Star game, both very deserve that position as well. And I mean, just this is something that me and you both on our All-Star episode, we called this a snub. We said that if Jared Allen doesn't get picked up, this is a snub. So I mean, we called it. Deservingly so. He's having a great season, man, and I honestly just can't wait to see what the Cavs are going to continue to do as they keep rolling. And I think I'm just want to go back on this, and I think that Karis LeVert move was really a good move, man. It's going to end up working out in long term for them, man. But deservingly so. Go Jared Allen.
Yeah, no, definitely deserving. And what he did, so it's good to see those guys get their flowers and get in the All-Star game like that. And I mean, he's averaging just career best in pretty much everything. So that should be rewarded. 16 points a game, career high 11 rebounds, 1.35 blocks a game in 49 games this season. He's been healthy for the most part of this season, active. Got to get rewarded. Love to see it, man. Moving on here. Jay, this is just more of a question, man. We seen Harden rocking the number 1 jersey today in the media day and getting acquainted there. He practiced yesterday with the team, Jay. But I'm going to ask you right now, will James Harden, Joel Embiid, and the Philadelphia Sixers go to the finals this year? That's the question. Finals, I'm not asking you if they're going to win it. I'm not asking you if they're going to lose it. Will this iteration of the Philadelphia Sixers, adding James Harden, Ben Simmons is out the door, wasn't even playing this season, but inserting him, you lose Seth Curry, you lose Andre Drummond, you add James Harden, who calls himself transcendent talent, man. I mean, honestly, he is. Like, we've never seen anyone play the game like James Harden. We heard in the rumblings in Brooklyn that he was rolling his eyes when Steve Nash was calling plays and running plays for Kevin Durant. He wanted more ISO ball and get it his own way. So, Jay, knowing all that background information and knowing James Harden's pedigree with other star players now going to Joel Embiid, will he make it to the finals? I know I added stuff to that question, but yeah, answer that.
Man, Jay put me on the spot. Jay put me up against the wall. Jay,
yep.
Man, all right, let me see. Honestly, if I got to give an honest answer this year, I would say no, they don't make it to the finals because I'm still very bullish and I'm still very strong on the Bucks. I know I told you that I got the Bucks making it out of the East, so I'm still very bullish on the Bucks, and I just don't see how the 76ers are going to be able to put this team together halfway through the season and get rid of such key pieces in Seth. And I mean, Andre Drummond wasn't the biggest piece because Joel Embiid was doing mainly what he was doing, but Seth Curry was one of the key point guards from that team besides Maxey, besides Tobias Harris, the players who bought the ball down court. Seth was a big part of that. So getting rid of a big backup and Andre Drummond, getting rid of a key point guard in Seth, and then just adding James Harden, and he is transcendent talent. Like, I'm right there with you, but I don't know if I can really put them past a Bucks team who's even struggling right now and sitting in that fifth seed, or even, to be real with you, bro, like a Heat team that's proven themselves, that's proven, hey, we can go out there and we do it together. We beat you as a community, and honestly, they've proven more than just. I know what James Harden is individually. I know what Joel Embiid is individually. In my mind, I think it's going to work out perfect. Pick and rolls, that's going to be deadly. You can't leave neither. You can't roll. You can't double Joel Embiid. Going to leave James Harden wide open. You can't. James Harden's going to look for the pass. You can't double James Harden. So in my mind, it works out perfect. But in my mind, the Lakers team also worked out perfect. So things don't always work out in my mind. That works out in person, man. So to answer that question, Jay, I'm going to go with no this year. But if they can figure it out, get some key pieces around Harden and Joel, I think it can make a good run for it next year.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you look at the way that things shake out right now as they are in terms of, standings and that sort of thing, I just don't see. I think the Heat, just in terms of their buildup, roster construction, how they are right now, and the Bucks, like you mentioned, I put them ahead of the Sixers and the Nets, just in terms of, well, first of all, the Nets they're in a play-in position right now,
which is crazy.
I think before the season, no one would have expected that. Obviously, it's a lot to do with injuries, Kevin Durant being out, Kyrie Irving. We never knew he would be a part-time player before the season. I guess we did, but we didn't know that it would last this long. So I think that, it's too many question marks there in Philly and also in Brooklyn. I know I didn't ask you about that, but I think there's too many question marks and that sort of thing to have those two ahead of the Heat. We know what they are right now, and the Milwaukee Bucks. We know what they are. And even I would say a team like the Cavs, maybe not ready this year, but I still think both of those teams will struggle to beat them in a 7-game series, as well as the Bulls too. I mean, let's not forget them sitting at the second seed, half game out of first right now. Although we know that the East is bunched up right now, like 2 games to a half game separating a lot of these top 5 seeds. So it's going to be interesting, man. But I don't see, to answer my own question, I don't see the Philly getting there right now, man. But
I'm right there with you, brother.
Yeah, Jay,
talk to me, brother.
Before we hop into games, man, and we talk games, man, I want to do a little game here with you because it's kind of going to lead me into the game that I will be talking about today on this episode and giving a recap of that. But Jay, there is 4 teams who I would consider kind of the bottom feeders of this league. You could even throw in the Kings right now, but from the looks of it, they're looking like they're competing. So maybe like 4 to 6 teams right now. And I'm gonna read them off to you, and I'm gonna ask you in the next 2 to 3 years, you see any of these being legitimate contenders in the West, respectively, their conference, or just in the landscape of being kind of a title contender, to the sense or like a legitimate factor for that, I would say, in the conference, man. So I'm going to read these teams off and you tell me what you're thinking. It's going to be for both of the conferences collectively, Western and Eastern, man. So Indiana Pacers sitting at the 13th seed, 19-39 right now. The Orlando Magic sitting at a whopping 13-46 in the 14th seed. The Detroit Pistons with a stellar record of 12-45 right now, sitting in the 15th seed there in the East. And then we got in the West. I'm gonna ask you this. Well, I'm gonna leave the Kings out for right now because they literally just got a superstar and excuse me, not a superstar, a star at best, Domantas Sabonis. And then, so I'm going to leave them out. But then I'm going to put in, just for the time's sake, or the Oklahoma City Thunder is the next team at 18-39, sitting at the 14th seed. And then the last place in the West is the 15-41 Houston Rockets in the 15th seed. Jay, what are those teams that I named off you see being a legitimate or potentially being a contender in the Western Eastern Conference, NBA for that matter?
So honestly, all of these teams, it's very hard for me to be like, yeah, I could see these guys being title contender. But if I had to pick one, and one that I genuinely am starting to believe in their direction and their trajectory, and that's the Pacers, man. I mean, you just talked about that Pacers trade with, that Pacers Sabonis superstar. I'm just kidding. You talking about that? Yeah. That's Sabonis and Tyrese Halliburton trade, right? So like now you're adding a player like Tyrese Halliburton. Let's not forget about Malcolm Brogdon and all these other players that you still have on there, like Miles Turner. And honestly, I even wanted to say this a couple episodes ago. I really think that the Pacers, like, they were gonna rebuild, but then they're like, wait, we kind of hit gold with this trade. Like, let's just go from here. Like, we don't need to just tear it all the way down. Like, let's just go from here, from what we have. And I think that having a solid point guard in Malcolm and Tyrese, and having a big like Miles, they can honestly go and turn it up. And it'll take some time. But out of all those teams, I could definitely see the Pacers doing it for the East. And then just real quick for the West, I know it's looking so bad for the Thunder, but I just want to throw in Thunder just because I really am a big fan of SGA, Jay. Like, I don't know, maybe maybe I'm overhyping him, because I know I've even asked you like SGA or Ja, and you were like, are you insane? Like, so, and I agree, like, that's a dumb question, but like, I'm just really bullish on SGA, man. I think he's a real great overall point guard. He can kind of like really do it all. He's big. He's like 6'5" build, man. So I'm a big believer, if you put the right players around him, man, and you got players like Dort on there who are just the ultimate role players. You got players like Giddey who are just gonna. We were talking about this with Greg the other day. Giddey just does it all out there. He's just super complete. So I really like the Thunder as well, man. But I want to know what you think, Jay. Out of those bottom feeders, which one are you thinking is gonna come out as 4 to 5 years?
It was a crazy question, because I was thinking of this last night when I was watching a certain game, Jay, and I was thinking, man, this team fights. They're hungry, and I had a chance to watch them 3 times, and that's Oklahoma City Thunder. And I never thought that they would slowly becoming kind of my league pass team. Ooh. And that the reason for that, man, Josh Giddey. And you mentioned SGA, but I think this in the next coming years, it's going to be Josh Giddey's team. I think that, as much as I love SGA, I don't know really right now if I know, and it's hard to say. Like, he was on he was on 2 playoff teams, I think, to begin his career with the Thunder and as well as the Clippers. But I think that Giddey's just a winning player. He makes winning plays. A lot of that was on full display. A rookie with a triple-double in the Garden last night, beating the New York Knicks, which I'm gonna be excited to talk about. But I just look at this Thunder team. I see depth. I see good coaching. Mark Dagnall, just a great coach, great young developing coach as well. And it seems it's crazy. Like the reason they're a fun team for me to watch and a league pass team for me to watch is crazy. I would never say thought I'd say the Thunder are a league pass team for me, but it's just the ball movement, the trust that those guys have in their system. From Trey Mann to Josh Giddey to Darius Bazley, who I've been loving that pickup from fantasy wise, but he just looked like he's coming into himself as well. And then you add that in with other role players and guys that are even out right now, Pokashevsky, all these guys, Isaiah Roby. And I was just thinking they're going to be in the next 2 or 3 years. I'm not saying next year, but they're going to be legitimate Western. They're going to be in the conversation, in the picture. Let's just say that. I don't know if they'll be true contenders, but they'll be in the conversation because of those guys believing in that system, the depth, the number of sheer picks. But I think they're hitting on a lot of those. I know before the season, I thought Giddey, I don't know if he would be I thought he was gonna be a bust, right? But he certainly proved a lot of people wrong, Jay. So I just thought I'd throw that out there and ask you who you think is kind of the future about those bottom feeders. For me, it's Thunder.
I like that, Jay. And honestly, as you were talking about the Thunder and the potential you see in them, as you were talking about the Thunder and the potential you see in them, for all the fans that are listening on the podcast, Jay just slipped on his chair. That's why I'm laughing. There, you good, my brother? You good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But look, brother, as you were talking, I was thinking to myself, this sounds like a lot like the young Grizzlies team, man. You know what I'm saying? Like a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder in a couple of years could be, like how you said, maybe not title contenders, but there are some teams you don't, the young, hungry team you don't want to play in the playoffs. So I'm right there with you, Jay. I love that. But talk to me about that Josh Giddey game you saw last night, brother. Talk to me about that game.
Yeah. Overtime game at the Garden. What a game, man! It was three rookies really playing great basketball, and that was Josh Giddey and Trey Mann for the Oklahoma City Thunder, two obviously first round picks, and they were looking forward. I mean, I think that's every player's just dream. You grow up, you see the Garden, man. It's the mecca of all ball, ready to play, and for some it brings out the worst in you. You can have a tough game, and for others it brings out the best in you, and that's exactly what it did for Josh Giddey. A triple double with a career high 28 points, 12 assists, 11 rebounds, and then Mann also scored 30 points, his career high. And Oklahoma City, rallied there they were down 11 at one point, just fighting, like I said, trusting in their system, believing in the system, getting great ball movement, great looks, often turning turnovers into buckets, easy buckets, getting to the line. And that was a lot of what they had to do to stay in that game, especially on the road, especially when a lot of players were making plays on the other end, one of those being the New York Knicks, Julius Randle having a triple double with 30 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists. For the Knicks, who are struggling now, really struggling, losing 9 of their last 11 games, man. But Jay, these are games that are really winnable. This was a game that was really winnable for the Knicks. I thought they were going to pull it up and pull away at the end, but it's just a story of the season for them, when games that they should win, games where they're clearly favored in the matchup, which really means nothing in the NBA, especially in today's NBA, because any team could beat anyone on any given night. You just saw that last night. A young, hungry, motivated Oklahoma City Thunder team came into the Garden and took it to these vets, man. And a lot of that was to do with that system, like I said, that trust, that system. But let's also talk about the rookie on the other side of the ball, and that was for the New York Knicks, Quentin Grimes, playing arguably, one of the better games of his season, making plays on both ends of the floor. One of those plays was late in the game when the Thunder had cut the game and tied the game. They had an inbounds play. I can't remember how much time was on the clock, about 12 to 11 seconds. The Thunder, obviously being a young and experienced team, turned that ball over. Grimes was able to steal the ball and finish with a nice reverse right-handed finish to take that lead, and then flip it to the other end with I think 5 or 7 seconds. Darius Baisley got a handoff in the corner, went to work, and was able to put in the game time bucket to send that game into overtime. And then Jay, in the overtime, that's when Giddey took over, man. He was just putting in work. Guys, he was making plays, getting down to the rim, making the game easy for the rest of his teammates, man. And that just shows me, these type of games we saw early, winning games that they weren't supposed to, in quotes, and then a young team winning these type of games on the road, when a season where they got really nothing to lose, man. But these are just feathers in your cap. And if it doesn't translate to wins this year, you take that confidence going into the next year. And these experiences are vital, important, especially for a young team. And you could turn into a Grizzlies real quick. So nothing really to dive into stats too much like that. But the Thunder were able to fight away, keep chipping, make some big stops down the road, especially in that 11-point deficit that they had to overcome in that second half. And that's just because these are character building wins that you need as a young team. And I love what I saw from the Thunder, and I hated what I saw from the Knicks. And it just goes to show you there's going to be a question mark for Tom Thibodeau and those Knicks, man. We saw the success he had the first season, and then it's like he's gotten stubborn again, which a lot happens to a lot of Tom Thibodeau's teams, where we saw that in Chicago, where he had a great first season. Saw it in Minnesota, we thought he had a great first season as well, and then things kind of fall apart. And you have to wonder, is it the coach? Is it the franchise, or is it the coach? And, history kind of shows that it might be Thibodeau. So definitely questions to answer there in New York. But Jay, what game you got, man? I don't know if you want to add anything to this game.
No, that was a great recap, Jay. And then I just want to add, you kind of when we talk about Tom Thibodeau a lot, like off camera, on camera, just whenever. And you always mention he's running his players into the ground. So maybe the players in the league and teams are kind of starting to recognize that, and starting to recognize that his playing style really just doesn't work, man. But Jay, I know that game was, you were on the edge of your seat the whole game with 13 lead changes and a game going to overtime. So that was just a great game, Jay. So, and then I'm gonna talk about a game that happened on Super Bowl Sunday, because I know everybody's probably watching the Super Bowl. So don't worry, I will recap everybody, man. So the Celtics beat the Hawks 105-95, extending their win streak to 8 in a row now, which is great for the Celtics, starting to finally get on a nice little roll. But in that game, first thing I noticed is that the Hawks came out firing, man. I mean, Trae Young had 13 points early in the first quarter, and the Hawks just really took it to the Celtics. Celtics struggled to hit any shots in that first quarter, but realistically, just in that first half. I mean, the Celtics got outscored 28-17 in the first quarter, and then like I said, the Celtics just looked like there was a cover on the lid, man. The Celtics could not hit a shot. Jason Tatum was 1 for 6 from 3. The Celtics as a team was shooting 20% from 3-point land at half. Derek White and Jason Tatum were the only players that have scored 10 points or more at halftime. So it is looking all bad. The morale of the Celtics was looking bad, and Jason Tatum wasn't hitting. And then boom, halftime came. Celtics went into the locker room, came out a whole different team. The Celtics scored 42 points in the third quarter. They made a new season high for most points scored in a quarter all season so far. They outscored the Hawks 42-23 in that third quarter, and Jason Tatum scored 16 points of his 38 in that third quarter, man. And now that we're talking about second half on, I just want to mention, at halftime, Jason Tatum had 13 points. He ended this game with 38 points, which is just, he put a ridiculous second half. And it was honestly one of those, Jay, that was like, it was those 38 points that you felt every single one of those points. It was, you had great defense, but that was just simply a better shot. And then that in the late in the third quarter, they go on a run. They go on a 14-0 run to be able to take the lead to the game. And honestly, this is the second time I've been recapping or highlighting a Celtics game, and I have watched Robert Williams be the reason the Celtics go on a run, because of the defensive anchor that he is, because of how much he protects that rim, he protects that paint, of how disciplined he is, right? So in the first quarter, the Hawks had 12 free throw attempts. The Celtics were not being very disciplined. They were letting the Hawks get to the line. In the third quarter, the Hawks got 0 free throw attempts, and that's, in my opinion, again, because of that run that Robert Williams was defensively able to lead. And I'm gonna put this on wax. I'm gonna go out there and say it now. I don't know if Junior, my brother, I don't know if he's listening, but I remember back in the day, before Steven Adams had all the tattoos, I was big on Steven Adams. I was like, man, this guy just gets every rebound. This guy is just a double-double machine. This guy's active on the boards. And that's the same thing I'm saying about Robert Williams. I don't know if he'll turn out as good. Steven Adams turned out great. I was right about that pick. But I'm very bullish on Robert Williams, man. His activity is just nonstop. He's just one of the players that just doesn't stop in there. If he's not blocking the shot, he's bothering shots, man. And then and that was in the third quarter. And after that run, Jay, the Celtics never gave up the lead. After then, Jason Tatum kept doing his thing. Jason Tatum, like I said, ended up finishing with 38 points, 10 rebounds, 48% from the field. And then just real quick, the only thing I just want to add is that I think Derek White ended up being a great fit for the Celtics. I mean, you were right, Jay. I wasn't as bullish as you. I just kind of thought it was going to be a sideways move. But no, honestly, he was the point guard that they needed, a big point guard who could play defense, who has incredible court vision. So, yeah, I think, Jay, this is one of those trades, when it happens, you're like, damn, like he should have been in the Celtics his whole career. Like it was like one of those. So he fits perfect, man. But overall, great game. Shout out Jason Tatum and the Celtics getting it done 8 in a row, baby.
Yeah, no, that was a great game. Great to watch. Seeing the young, hungry Celtics fighting back, turning their season around. That's what you like seeing. And yeah, no, I think the Derek White was a great pickup. I think he fits right into that system. I think it was honestly a steal for what they got him for. So looking forward to seeing what the Celtics can do with this new look front court and all that size that they got there on that front line as well. So love Robert Williams, the Time Lord as well. So got to give him a shout out. And yeah, man, this is a quick banger of a hidden takes, man. Episode 12. I was able to look it up while we were talking, man. So yeah, Jay, if you got anything, make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're listening to this on Spotify. Rate us 5 stars. Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, rate us 5 stars. Subscribe to us on YouTube, man. Follow us Twitter, Instagram at Clutch Talk Pod, and get us questions, comments, concerns, man. We'd love to hear it, bro. So that's all I got to say, man. And if you got anything else, Jay, we're gonna close this off.
Yes, sir. Jay said it all. That's it. We out of here, y'all.
Clutch Talk out. Peace.